Well, we're moving again. No, seriously, we're moving again, but not like that.
The Wood Whisperer is sponsored by Type Bond.
I'll admit, we do move quite often. When I left New Jersey after college, I was really hesitant to move to California in the first place, but once I did make that move, it seems like I can't quite stay put. We moved from California to Arizona to Colorado and now to Missouri. How you doing? So why Missouri? Well, barbecue, obviously. But there's another equally important factor for moving to Missouri, and that's family. Longtime viewers will probably remember me bouncing around shops in Arizona for about 10 years, including my supposed dream shop construction in 2012. After having kids, it became pretty clear to me that Arizona wasn't where I wanted to raise my family. Both Nicole and I grew up with four-season climates, and if you're a fan of climate variety, Arizona probably isn't the place for you. So in 2016, we packed up and moved to Denver. And in spite of it being one of the most expensive places to buy a house, I'll admit it was a bit selfish on my part. I was really intrigued by Denver. Not because of that. And honestly, I was so obsessed with getting out of Arizona, I didn't bat an eye at leaving my brand new 1,800 square foot shop in exchange for a more modest 4-car garage. In YouTube years, it probably seems like we just moved here, but for a frame of reference, here are my kids when we moved to Denver, and here are my kids today. 6 years feels a lot longer when it's measured in kids. Now, if you want more of the gory details as to why we're moving, what spurred this on in the first place, I actually talked about it quite a bit in the most recent episode of Wood Talk. That's our podcast with my buddies Shannon and Matt. 526 Missouricans is the title. Go check that out if you want the full explanation, but let me sum up here. First and foremost is family. Pretty much all of Nicole's family lives in Missouri. Our kids have a ton of cousins, aunts, uncles that they just never get to see. My closest relatives live in Ohio, New Jersey, for some reason London. The more bang for the buck as far as family is concerned is going to be in Missouri. And speaking of good bang for the buck, another reason why we're moving out there is because of that thing called land, something that's very hard to come by here in Denver, but in Missouri it's a whole lot cheaper and we can get a lot more land for our money. Now I can't expand the shop that I have here, it's a garage, I can't go anywhere with it, and if I want to expand the business, I'm going to have to look into commercial property, and around here, that's going to get expensive really fast. My vision for the Wood Whisperer definitely includes having more employees, and unfortunately I've tried having a couple of employees here and we're really right on top of each other. And when an employee has to poop, where are they going to go? That's right, in my house. They got to poop in my house. Employees should have a quiet, safe, and judgment-free place to poop. So my ideal scenario is a standalone shop on my property with the space and the facilities to handle as many employees and all the equipment that I could possibly need. And chickens. I really want some chickens. Another thing I'd like to do is hold events, something that I definitely can't do here. But with a detached shop on my own property, we could have workshops, classes, and just regular meetups. Now, in a future video, I might just go over some of the properties we're looking at, show you the shop spaces, at least what I can show you, give you an idea of what I'm looking for and what I'm trying to avoid, because there's definitely some traps out there. I'm no expert in this, and I'm really just sharing my own gut instinct on some of these things, but who knows, maybe if you're in the market yourself and you're looking for a place, this might be something that would be useful to you, but we'll cover that in the future. So with that out of the way, what's next? Well, we've got a house to sell. And ideally, I want to stay in this space and work for as long as possible. The truth is, moving a shop is pretty much like moving an entire second home. In fact, we're handling it separately from the house move, and we're going to get people who actually are experienced with moving heavy equipment. Now, I've talked with my realtor about this space in the garage, and fortunately, most buyers are really not that concerned about the garage, especially if they're just going to park in there like some kind of animal. But the truth is, the appearance of this space is a lot less important than things like the kitchen and the master bedroom. So we've got a little bit of flexibility in here. I mean, when it comes to staging a house, it's really all about depersonalization. You want the new buyer to come in and to be able to envision themselves in your space, not envision you in your space. But that's the house. And thankfully, the garage is just a lot less important, unless the person is specifically like a car person or some type of crafts person. So while I don't have a ton of prep work to do, there are a few notable things that I can do to make this space look as presentable as possible. I'll start by doing something pretty simple, opening the blinds. I can't really film in here with light streaming in like this, but my gosh, does it open up the space when there's natural light and a clear view outside of the windows. And speaking of a clear view, I'm definitely going to make sure that the windows are clean. It's a wood shop, so they're probably pretty dirty. Now, while most of my decorations are childish, they're not really offensive, but anything that's questionable, like my buddy George here, will be coming down. And not everybody gets the joke, and we'll see him again in the new shop. I'm also going to clear off any surfaces and get the shop as straightened up as possible, kind of like I'm about to do a shop tour. I really don't care what room of the house we're talking about, clutter is just bad news when selling. And perhaps the most impactful thing that I could do in my shop specifically is to take up the floor mats. Floor mats are great for comfort in the shop, but they do eat up a lot of light. They also can make the space appear smaller, and they hide that beautiful epoxy floor. So even if the space is destined to be a parking garage, the average person can certainly appreciate the aesthetic benefits of an epoxy floor. A few years ago, for some extra sound dampening, I added these gray panels all along the walls. Truthfully, they don't do a whole lot. And they look kind of goofy, so I'll be taking those down. Now, the ceiling sound panels just might stay, as most of them are actually glued to the ceiling. Removing them would likely create more of an eyesore than just leaving them in place. However, I may take down the brown ones since those are a little bit more of an eyesore. Now, one huge thing that I'm going to have to take care of pretty soon is the fact that these two garage doors are completely walled off. The openers are gone and the tracks are gone. Thankfully, even though I had no intentions of moving, I installed these walls in a very non-permanent fashion. So while there's going to be a good amount of labor to remove them, it's not like I have anything structural to worry about. And when that time comes, I'll take you on the journey with me as we disassemble everything, but the timing of this is a little bit tricky. I want to work in this space for as long as possible while I still can. And the problem is I'm going to have to book some garage door guys to come in here to actually make those doors functional again, and this needs to be out of the way to do that. So how it's all going to pan out, if I'm going to get any work done in here in the interim, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. All right, so I still have some straightening up to do, but for the most part, we are clean, and I'm ready for people to walk in here and say, what the f*** is going on in here? So it's a bit early for me to make promises about what I'm going to do here, but I will try to document as much of this process as possible. It'll be more of a relaxed vlog style just because it's a whole lot easier to do. And I mean, really, that's what I'm doing, is just showing you what this experience is like. And also I have a couple other videos that are just in the bank right now that we're going to be publishing that will sort of confuse the timeline. You might see us go back in time a little bit, but we got to publish them. So it is what it is. All right, so crazy couple of months ahead. I hope you guys are here for it. And the vlog style videos will be clearly labeled so that if you're not into that, it's okay. You could just wait for the other videos to come out. And hopefully we'll be back to work with a functional shop sooner than later. But either way, it's going to be a wild ride. And I'm glad you guys are here with me. All right, we'll talk to you later. Wish me luck.